Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Well, once again, Donald Trump is putting people in positions who have been outspoken opponents of these positions. He's done it again here with the FCC. He has named the new FCC chairman, Ajit Pai. Now, Pai was someone who in the past has said that they wanted to take a weed whacker to net neutrality. He's been an outspoken opponent of it. He says, of course, I'm looking forward to working with this new administration. But he is a telecommunications lawyer who's served on the FCC since May 2012. He is a free market advocate, and he's been sharply critical of new regulations adopted by Democrats in recent years. He said we need to fire up the weed whacker and remove those rules that are holding back investment, innovation, and job creation. He said this in a speech last month. Now, chief among Pai's targets is going to be the net neutrality online traffic rules that the FCC adopted in 2015. These regulations are designed to ensure the free flow of online data by barring internet service providers from discriminating against the legal content that's flowing through their networks. So Verizon can't block you from searching Google, or Netflix can't stop you from watching NBC, things like that. To do that, the FCC imposed utility-like oversight of broadband providers. Now, President Obama and Democrats were very much for this. But the two Republicans on the FCC commission were very against it. And as well as Donald Trump spoke out against these new rules. He tweeted in November 2014, Obama's attack on the internet is another top-down power grab. So you have some small, your future innovators, your next Google or your next Netflix that might come along. They will never be able to fight against the net neutrality that's put in place. They'll never be able to compete with companies like Netflix, who are able to pay for, the stronger servers to deal with all that traffic. So it kind of stifles the little guy, and that's why Facebook, Google, they're all for this, because they don't want any future competition. Now, just to give you a little background on Pai, you'll recall that he was the one who came out saying that he foresees a future in which the feds, regulators could seek to regulate websites based on political content, and they could use the power of the FCC to do that. And he said, the feds may come for the Drudge Report, and that he himself had been personally harassed with threats to his family for speaking out about this.
Unthinkable that a government agency would decide that the marketplace of ideas is too fraught with dissonance, that everything from Drudge Report to Fox News to American Prosperity is, playing unfair in the online political speech sandbox? I don't think so. I mean, I think that, in my view at least, of being a free speech advocate, the First Amendment means not just the cold parchment that's in the Constitution. It's an ongoing cultural commitment. And I sense that among a substantial number of Americans and a disturbing number of regulators here in Washington, that online speech is a dangerous, brave new world that needs to be regulated.
Well, President Donald Trump has said that he is going to be retaining James Comey as director of the FBI. Apparently, Comey briefed senior agency officials about this transition last week, indicating that the president had asked him to keep his post. And now, of course, the FBI director is appointed to a 10-year term to insulate the office from political influence. He can be dismissed by the president, of course, for cause. Comey has served as Deputy Attorney General in the George W. Bush administration. He was appointed director by former President Barack Obama in 2013. So here you can see both sides of the aisle. They thought that James Comey was doing a really great job until he came out and spoke against Hillary Clinton. And then all of a sudden, he couldn't be trusted. He was a loose cannon. It was his handling of the Clinton email investigation that did him in. But again, Trump's going to keep him on. So this decision is going to create a little bit of stability at the highest levels of government. Good job there. And now we have as well the confirmation of Representative Mike Pompeo for the CIA director position. And it's been being delayed by the Democrats there, Senate Democrats delaying it. So Senator Tom Cotton and Chuck Schumer reportedly got into this angry confrontation about it. Cotton was reportedly irate with Schumer's delay, loudly accosted him on the Senate floor. And Chuck Schumer retorted saying the Senate had never confirmed a CIA director on Inauguration Day. You'd know that if you would have been here 8 years ago. And Cotton said, 8 years ago, I was getting my ass shot in Afghanistan. So don't talk to me about where I was 8 years ago. So I don't know, things are getting ugly there, as we can see. People really, they kind of understand that they don't really have a leg to stand on there. So globalists, of course, are cringing at the fact that Donald Trump is just torpedoing his agenda through. One of those, of course, is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And as we reported yesterday, the Trilateral Commission, they're completely freaking out about this, that if the American people are awakening and that we're tired of this globalist agenda. So proponents of globalism, they've expressed disappointment in President Trump's decision to scrap the TPP, and they claim these bilateral trade deals will take too long to negotiate. It'll just take too long to push their globalist agenda. So a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution said the problem with these bilaterals is we've tried that approach. We found it's extremely time-consuming. None of these new bilaterals being discussed in the Trump administration are going to materialize over the night. They're going to take a lot of time to negotiate, years probably. So, of course, the people who are upset about this are Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, JP Morgan Chase, the Hewlett Foundation, globalist billionaires, former Goldman Sachs president. So these are all the people that are seeing their agenda that they've been working on behind the scenes to enrich themselves and their global order. That is getting stymied. They're very upset with it. But Sean Spicer, the White House press secretary, said, the beautiful thing about a bilateral agreement is that if any one of the true parties in the agreement decides at any time they want to get out of that agreement or they're not being treated fairly, they can renegotiate much easier. In a multilateral agreement, that's not the case. And we're seeing that now, of course, with NAFTA, with Trump saying, look, we want a better deal or we're out. We want to renegotiate. So China is actually putting out this communist propaganda that Western democracies are fragile, and the election of Donald Trump and then, of course, the protests following show that the fragility of that Western democracy. And this is coming out of their state-run newspapers, saying that the U.S. is becoming increasingly serious. They're questioning the reliability and universality of the Western democratic system. Many Americans don't accept procedural justice because left-wingers and liberals have decided that Trump's victory is the death of democracy. So this is why the peaceful transition of power is so important, because you see these other countries like China, Russia, whatever, they're seeing this kind of weakling. They're saying this is a great time to strike. Western democracy is going to fall. Of course, they're seeing what's happening all over Europe with the refugee crisis. So China is thinking that it's going to move in and saying that all the superpowers are backing out of doing their job of being a global superpower because they're crumbling from within. So China's like, we'll step up, we'll take care of that. And Bloomberg also notes that the Mandarin language state-run newspaper People's Daily is also promoting this idea that free societies are on the brink of collapse due to Donald Trump's inauguration. So they're just salivating over this. But of course, this is just communist propaganda trying to tell their people, see, aren't you glad that you live in this communist dictatorship? You should be happy for those little blades of grass that we're feeding you. I'm sorry that your family's starving, but it's so great over here. Look at them. They're fighting and protesting in the streets. They're about to crumble. So there was an expert that actually spoke to Breitbart News and said it's simply untrue that the demise of the Trans-Pacific Partnership is going to help China, even though that's what China is trying to pump out right now. He basically said that this is an easy move that Trump made. It's going to be great for jobs. TPP was bad for manufacturing, to the point that even the analysis, the propaganda that was supporting the TPP acknowledged that manufacturing was going to lose jobs. They weren't even trying to sweep it under the carpet. They were totally trying to sell us on the fact that this was going to be great. And we were about to get creamed, crushed. Donald Trump knew it. So this is going to be great. And he points out that China is already out there with the infrastructure bank. They're using trillions of dollars that they've gained through our lopsided trade to try to lure countries to following its ways. So regardless of the TPP or not, China's going to go ahead and do that. And that's exactly what Donald Trump's been saying. He's like, they're going to do it anyway, the manipulation of the currency and whatnot. So we need to negotiate a better deal that's going to put us on better footing, because right now they're holding all the cards. But we can quickly move along some people who are really excited about the fact that Donald Trump is in office, as well as General Mattis. The U.S. military bases, you've got to check out these memes. They're replacing their Obama portraits. So, you know, on all the bases, they put the portraits of the commander-in-chief and the chain of command. And so they, if you want to scroll and show the pictures, they are using all these memes to show, you know, this is my commander-in-chief and then my General Mattis. So they are super excited, obviously, there. And you can see why, because Daily Caller has the 7 most egregious acts of social justice in Obama's military. So this is what they have been dealing with, to where now they're super excited about having Trump and General Mattis. They have a handbook that tells soldiers not to criticize pedophilia. Remember, we reported on that. Some of these countries, it's their culture. Don't criticize the pedophilia. The Bible disrespects diversity. An Air Force base banned the greeting, "Have a blessed day." Army ROTC cadets were pressured to walk around in bright red heels for social justice. And Department of Defense approved training listed the Declaration of Independence as a document that perpetuates sexism. Navy domestic violence training said traditional gender roles are an example of male privilege. And 7, the Navy tried to fire a chaplain for biblical teaching on sexuality. So there you go. Now you can see why the U.S. military is celebrating with these memes. Meme magic is real. They are ready for President Donald Trump. Stick around. Margaret Howell and Owen Schroyer will be joining me for a roundtable coming up next.
In case you haven't heard, Infowars has become the most influential media outlet in America. We're making freedom go viral. And now we are proud to announce a new weapon in the epic battle against the globalists. Infowars Prime, where you can watch live high-definition feeds of The Alex Jones Show, plus exclusive insider videos from the Infowars crew and behind-the-scenes action. Go to Infowars.com/app and download today. Infowars Prime is available right now for your iPhone or Android. You will have access to exclusive videos that you can't see anywhere else. And that means live coverage of events and breaking news on location as it happens. You can also take advantage of amazing deals from the Infowars store that are only available for Infowars Prime subscribers. That's Infowars Prime at Infowars.com/app. And if you can hear my voice, you are the resistance.